What I thought to do here is, unknowing how good you were or how little you knew, just to give you a brief run through the steps of it, and then I'm going to just cover a few more points at the end of it. What you're looking to do with the power flushing pump is to get your pump hooked up and circulate water very rapidly. And this is, if you like, simulating when you actually begin. What you're going to do is get your pump hooked into it, open everything wide open. Most people instinctively think the first thing you're going to do is pour some chemical into the tank. We say, no, don't do that. If you think about it, if you put chemical in straight away, you'll be wasting some of the strength of that chemical in dissolving debris that's already loose and moving. We say, don't put it in straight away. Circulate with no chemical at all, having opened the whole system wide open. Radiator valves, lock sheave valves. And what you're going to do is get the loose debris up and moving, and that's what you do. No chemical. The next step is actually to what we put into dumping. And what all you're doing with the power flushing pump, as you can see, is when you're dumping, you're picking up the contents of your tank are being picked up, fed into the heating system, and forcing the dirty water out ahead and down the drain. Of course, your tank would run dry fairly quickly, which is why you've got a water inlet connection on it. What you'll do when you start is actually just do that and flush the worst of the debris out. It's at this stage you think, right, now I put my chemical in. Okay, and there's no reason why you can't put it in through the tank of your pump, because there is no pressure in your pump. One of the things that a lot of people are nervous about with power flushing, they seem to think that it's an extraordinary high pressure process. It's not. Flow rate is what moves the debris, pressure not. If you think about it, if you had 1,000 psi but moving at a litre a minute, it would do virtually nothing. It's the flow rate you're after. We build a pump that's got a high enough flow rate to overcome the resistance of the heating system, but without overdoing it. Last thing you want, and we want, the joints coming apart and leaks. So we build a pump that way. Okay, so you feed your chemical in. Oh, just to clarify, as you might imagine with your pump here, the maximum pressure is where the water is departing the pump and going into the heating system, but it's falling away all through the system till finally it's back to zero, which means no reason why you can't just take the cap off and pour your chemical in, which is what you do. What you do then is just keep running it to circulate the chemical so it can start working and attacking the debris, coating all the insides of the surfaces. The next step, it's logical. If you had to think about it, you've got a pump working at a fixed rate. How you know you want a high flow rate? What's the best way of doing it? Well, why not just put the full flow through each individual part of the system in turn? That's what you're doing. So we suggest that's what you do next. This is just a notional system here with a hot water cylinder. Hence it appears to be putting the water through a coil. If it's a sealed system, combi system, then you don't have a coil to worry about. You just get straight on with the radiators. Okay, so we're saying put the full flow through the radiator in turn and reverse the flow, just operate the flow. And you should be doing that maybe every few minutes. You don't stand there seesawing at it, you haven't got time. Okay, but every now and again change the direction of flow, and I'll point out to you later why that's a good idea. So, you put the full flow through your cylinder coil. The next thing, start on the radiators. We get all sorts of discussions about which one you should start on. Some guys say the furthest one away, some guys will start on the radiator nearest the pump. We take the long view. You're going to put the flow through every radiator in turn, so make life easy. It also makes it easy if you can remember in which order you did it. So we would suggest you'll probably start on the radiator nearest your power flushing pump. So you've got wide open valves on it, and you'll put the full flow of that power flushing pump through one radiator. Again, use the flow reverser. Once you've done that, close that radiator off and open up the second radiator. Your temptation, of course, is in the real world you think, okay, I've stirred up the debris in that radiator, I'll dump that out. But if you do that, you're going to lose a lot of your flushing chemicals and send it down the drain. So the answer is no, don't. So what you do, you put the full flow on the next radiator. 5 minutes or so, using the flow reverser regularly, and push on to the third radiator. And you are going to work your way right through the house like that. So if you had 16 radiators, and you can do more with that pump, you just keep going. Full flow on each radiator in turn, till eventually you're going to get to the last radiator, which is typically going to be an upstairs radiator. So you'll give it 5 minutes, reversing the flow backwards and forwards, and then you will start dumping on that radiator alone. Just the one radiator. Again, you're doing that so you've got the highest flow rate you can on that one radiator. So you're going to start working your way back around the house in the opposite direction. So you'll dump on, say, radiator 7 till you get clear water out the end of your hose. Then 6, then 5, until you've done them all. And eventually, of course, if you keep doing that, what you effectively have is a system with fresh, clear water, which is what you were after. Okay? Now, Having done that, of course, you must put an inhibitor into a heating system, and the sensible way to do it is through your power flushing pump. We normally suggest that what you'll do is, before you put the inhibitor in, just drop the level in the tank as low as you can, so there's as little water left in the tank. Put your inhibitor in and let it run for 10 minutes or so. I don't know whether you know it, but I suspect all of us here are in hard water areas because of the catchment area of the show here. If you put fresh clean water on a heating system and fire the boiler, most of the hardness salts are out within the first couple of hours. And of course where they tend to come out is on the inside of the boiler, so you're going to have an efficiency loss straight away. So it is important to put your inhibitor in quickly. I'm using the word inhibitor, but any good inhibitor is not just an inhibitor. It actually will contain a dispersant, a scale dispersant, to keep any hard water particles suspended. So it is important to get it in fast. I make the point because we're often asked, can I flush the system one day and I'll put the inhibitor when I'm next coming around the block, as it were. We think you should get in as fast as you can, good scientific reasons. So there we are. That's what we're saying, the principle on going through power flushing.